backing up. Oh, so much work. I guess I gotta use my thumb. Speechless right now after getting to see that. A camper unlike any other. You can tow the new Lightship L1 for 300 miles like it's not even there. Virtually no reduction in your fuel economy. I'm glad you guys are really addressing quality. It's the #1 issue. They'll take simple and lesser tech if it's like bulletproof.
Yeah.
We have been screaming for, you know, the standard RV companies to change. It has 7 days, a full week of off-grid power to run your appliances, air conditioning, heating, and charge your toys. And who builds your frames? Guess what? On the Lightship frame, there are no welds.
No more bendy frames.
Yeah, we don't like bent frames. Yes. I mean, that's RV killer. I have never heard that at any RV manufacturer before. All of your employees get a stipend to go camping.
Yeah.
Just so you can experience it.
We're taking, you know, every little inch of space we can and every little, you know, every gram of mass we can to put it to the water tank. So
thank you for that.
That's
on behalf of the RVers of America, thank you for that. You have a dishwasher. They have a dishwasher in this size of trailer. That's awesome.
You are the first outside Lightship to do that.
First to drive. I'm just going to sit here and keep raise, lower, raise, lower, raise, lower.
Yeah, the fun part is that Tess gets to be the harshest customer.
People are 100% gonna see this for the first time and just be like, what spaceship has landed in our campground?
I know you guys can't wait to watch the tour of this brand new RV company and brand new RV. This is the most thorough and in-depth deep dive tour and interview that I've done. Why do I do this? Well, buying an RV is a huge investment. And those of you that are looking, you've probably seen a lot of RV tours. You've seen a lot of our videos that have talked about some of the problems of a lot of the old RV manufacturers. So I love featuring new entrepreneurial companies like Lightship that are actually listening to consumers. They are RVers themselves and solving the pain points instead of always doing it the way it's always been done. So I am thrilled to bring this to you. It is filmed in a working factory. I've done my best to clean up the audio. I hope you enjoy the tour as much as I enjoyed visiting Lightship. I'm Tom.
And I'm Cherie.
And we're EnjoyTheJourney.Life. Flying to Denver, the mile-high city, to look at a brand new RV company. And guess what? I ran into Jason right here, one of our longtime viewers. How's it going?
It's going good.
We'd all like to welcome you aboard. Thank you for choosing United for your flight to Denver, Colorado.
I'm thrilled to be with Ben Parker and Toby Kraus, co-founders of Lightship RV. We're in Denver, near Denver, Colorado.
If you don't already know, this is the Lightship L1. This is our flagship product. It's also our first product. We're going to production with it at the end of the year after a few years, working in the background to get it right. We say we're biased, but we think it's the perfect travel trailer for the electric age. It's built very differently than a traditional travel trailer or really any traditional RV has been. We have a really strong focus on efficiency across the vehicle, so that means aerodynamics in particular, because when you're pulling a vehicle this big, you want it to act like a bullet, not a sail, so it needs to slide through the air as easily as possible. The way that we're looking at it, or I guess the perspective that we're looking at it from right now is called the camp mode. That means that the top half of the vehicle is fully telescoped up, so it's full height and it's very spacious on the inside for camping. But this whole top of the vehicle, which you can see the brake point right there, will telescope down about 3 feet, and then it gets into what we call the road mode. Road mode is, of course, very, very efficient and streamlined.
That's cool. I can't wait to try it out myself.
Yeah, that's right. I think you might be one of the first on this. This is our prototype vehicle. We call it an alpha prototype vehicle. So it's the first. This is kind of automotive terminology. It's the first fully functional prototype that we built. Now, about a year and a half ago. It'll be exciting for you to check that out. The reason the efficiency matters so much is that our starting point for designing this whole thing was to say, how do we make a trailer that is very efficient if you're towing with a traditional truck. So most of us are used to getting 8, maybe 10 miles a gallon when you're pulling a big trailer behind your truck, compared to a 20 to 25 if the truck is unladen. So we said, how do we get save money at the pump, and then, even if not more important, looking to the future as well, where more and more passenger vehicles are electrified. We know that we're at the dawn of the electric pickup truck. These electric pickup trucks are amazing. Think about Ford F-150 Lightning, the Cybertruck, the Rivian. They all are very capable trucks, but they have I would say, an Achilles heel around towing and towing range in particular, because when you strap a huge wall behind a very efficient electric vehicle, now its efficiency is degraded. And so we said, how do we solve that problem? How do you create a great long distance electric towing and road tripping experience? And the way that you can do that today is to design a very passively efficient vehicle, one that is low drag, and then, as we've done, put an EV battery and a motor on board, and we use that motor to self-propel the trailer, so that the trailer is doing the work of pulling itself in a way, and that means that the truck that would be pulling it is not feeling that weight anymore, and thus is not losing fuel economy or range. And we think it's how many trailers will be built in the future, but this is the first.
That is so cool. And how small of a tow vehicle can you use for something like this?
You and Sherry know this, I'm sure, intimately. You have to think about a couple of different specs of the tow vehicle to make sure that it's capable of pulling a big load. The payload capacity and the towing capacity are the two main to think about. So you want to make sure that you still have a tow vehicle, which would be a full-size truck or a full-size SUV, so at least a half-ton vehicle that can support the weight of the trailer, the ton weight in particular. That said, from the towing capacity standpoint, which is sort of how much weight the tow vehicle's powertrain can pull, that load is lessened significantly by having a drive system on board the travel trailer. So if you think about like if we're in Colorado, if you're doing a big mountain pass, if you're climbing the Ike, it's gonna feel a lot better with a Lightship in tow, especially if, let's say, you're pulling with a V6, like a lot of half-ton trucks are turbocharged V6 gasoline engines now. If they would normally struggle to pull a load this big, like a 6,000 to 7,000 pound load, now it's gonna feel a lot better.
And is that electrified drivetrain, is that standard on both models coming out, or the upgrade, or the standard?
So we've announced two models to date. The L1 Essential and the L1 Long Range. The L1 Essential is sort of like it's the more no frills or less frills. It's obviously very different as it is, but it's a less frills experience. It's that sets the entry price point, and it allows all electric camping, but it doesn't have the drive system built into it. So it still has a big EV battery on board for all of your camping power needs, but doesn't have the full size battery. It's 40 versus 80 kilowatt hours of battery, which is
okay.
25 to 50 times the amount of battery that you find on a traditional travel trailer. And that 80 kilowatt hour battery on the long range vehicle we pair with a drive unit, and that's how you get that range assisting function. We can peer under the hood a little bit.
That sounds great. Let's look under the hood.
I think that I mentioned it, but it's important to stress that this is it's a functional prototype. So actually what we'll see a little later on the production line is a different and more production oriented set of components than we built into this alpha prototype. So this showed a lot of the vision and the concept for the vehicle in real life, but doesn't have all the production answers built into it. So keep that in mind as we're going through it.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Nonetheless, there's a bunch of really awesome stuff on it. Peer through the back here. So I think one of the big stories in terms of the heating and air conditioning system, or the climate control system, is that it is all electric and totally capable off grid. Most RVs, as you know, it's typically a rooftop air conditioner. There's a hole cut in the roof, and typically you need to be on hookups, high power hookups, to be able to run an AC like that. Even if you have I'd say what is today, before this, a cutting edge off-grid battery-based power system, it's still you still might only be able to run a rooftop air conditioner on a traditional RV for maybe a few hours if you have a high power inverter on board as well. We're taking a totally new approach to how climate control is done inside of an RV. We're taking a more of like an automotive EV approach. So we have a high voltage bi-directional heat pump system built in. This is the same style of system that you'd find in a modern EV passenger car. It is a similar technology to something like a residential mini split system, where the system is able to pump heat in and out of the vehicle to maintain the cabin conditions. What's really key about the way that we're doing it is we have a system like that, but designed for vehicles. So that means durability, how that system packages, what's inside versus what's outside is all thought of from a vehicle perspective, and critically runs off of the high voltage system. So now you don't need to be on grid at all. You don't need to have a power hookup to really capably climate condition your vehicle. So it could be 110 in the Arizona desert, and you can flick on your air conditioner, even if you're at an off-grid campsite, and run it for days on end. Now, with the addition of the solar system on the roof, we haven't talked about this yet, but the entire roof is covered in a solar array. It's integrated into the roof line of the vehicle. In most situations, like the sunny Arizona desert, you'll actually pull in more power off of the roof than it takes to run that efficient automotive heat pump system. And so like we talk about when we go to shows, sometimes even with this prototype vehicle, we'll run the air conditioner all day and we still have more energy coming out of the show than we started the day with, which I think is pretty cool. And a big change for the RVing experience.
You guys are giving me RV power envy. I was just trying to boondock here a few weeks ago at Mexican Hat, Utah. It's 100 degrees that day. And oh my gosh, I mean, I've got a sizable solar and battery setup, but wow, it just chewed through that. Yeah. And yeah, the air conditioning units on a typical RV are not that
efficient.
Yep.
Unless you're looking at a mini split. And,
Pretty loud typically too, because it's a consolidated
Yes.
unit. If you think about it, when you put something like that dead center in the roof, then the whole roof acts like a drum as well. So
Right.
and then all the air is rushing above your head. So you're yelling over it just to make it work. In our case, the design of the system is that all the loud bits, like the compressor, for instance, sit on the tongue of the vehicle and are isolated from the cabin.
Okay, great.
Just the blower motor is on the inside of the cabin, and then there's a refrigerant line that goes between the two, so that the upshot is that you're going to get like great cool air and not have that rumbling all the time.
Can we have a listen to what that sounds like when we go inside?
Yeah, we can do it in this, although what'll be even maybe more interesting is to look at the production system over there, because that's representative of what it'll really be, whereas this prototype, what we built before we had the automotive style system, and so this is a residential system sort of adapted to the RV. So it's not from an experience and tech standpoint, it's not exactly what you'll get.
Gen 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you're new to the RV life or even experienced, I have a course that you can get available for free. It's the Beginner's Guide to RVing, and it's through RV Life or RV Trip Wizard. So if you are already a member, you can get this course completely for free. And as you may have heard me mention before, we love our RV Life and RV Trip Wizard membership, because that's how we navigate through the country and make sure we stay on RV safe roads. We keep track of our entire camping schedule, and it's just great being able to input all the campgrounds that we're going to be staying at and the dates, and then it tells us the route to take. We love it. Actually, I'll put a QR code right here so you can just scan it with your smartphone. And actually, I'll give you a code here on the screen that will save you 25% off of your membership. Yes. And then you can go to RV Masterclass, which is part of RV Life, and find my course. And again, there'll be a link to this down below in the description and the pinned comment, as well as our other favorite camping apps.
So another I think really cool thing you see on the exterior is just how we do the actuation system. So there's a 4-point motor system. You can actually see it here. We've designed it to be totally invisible, so when you go on the inside, it's actually not obvious that the vehicle has an actuation system at all. And essentially what's happening here is there's a really big beefy bracket that runs on a screw, powered by, you can kind of actually see here.
See the lead screw?
You can see the lead screw, and then there's a motor that runs at the bottom, and then we have to sort of coordinate all 4 of those lift points simultaneously to make the transformation happen between road mode and camp mode, which is a pretty fun experience. We'll show that later.
Oh, I'm looking forward to it. I can't wait.
And then I think another really cool thing to look at while we're out here, if we want to get down on our hands and knees, is you can kind of see the first iteration of our power system and our drive system. So we have right here under the rear axle, you can see the cradle with our drive unit in it. You can see the drive unit, and I'll go in front of the axles and you can see the power system, so the batteries.
Good that you're getting this too, because this a lot of the underbody is skinned over on the production vehicle, again for aerodynamic efficiency. So this is kind of an unlikely peer beneath the hood.
Yeah, from this angle, you can see our battery packs, suspension system there, and then here we have 2 battery packs. And actually, in our Alpha unit, we have a different battery system than you'll see in our Gen 2 system. But here, the silver boxes are each of the batteries. Each of those are about 40 kilowatt hours.
How do you source your batteries?
It's a great question. So this is, Ben and my and a lot of our team's background is sort of from the EV industry, and I think one thing that's taught us is to be really thoughtful about the batteries you use, and also to work with a number of different partners. So we have We have, I think, 4 different companies that we work with, and here you can see one of them, and out on the floor for our Gen 2 system, you'll see another of them. Generally speaking, we want to work with a battery that is first and foremost super safe. Second, is sort of like an automotive grade system, and then we also really care about sort of weight and cycle life. So we're thinking about building something to last for a really long time. And we also envision this is going to be something that you're not only using when you're powering your camping experience, but you're also perhaps using it when you're at home, and you can use it as like a backup generator for your house. All of that means lots of cycles you're putting on a battery. We want that to be something that will last for a really long time and be safe and robust. Yeah, batteries is a fun and daily conversation here at Lightship.
I love that option as an additional power source in an emergency. I mean, as we're filming, there's hurricanes and tropical storms going on, and backup power is so needed. How long will the batteries last?
So it's an 80 kilowatt hour system, and it's really sized that way to get you a 300-mile range and be able to power the vehicle for a week off grid. So it's a big system. When you're using it as a sort of a home backup, you can sort of think of it as the equivalent of something like 6 Tesla Powerwalls. So for home use, it's massive. It's going to be a larger system than really anyone has installed, and that's something that has a ton of backup capability. Think about all the loads you'd have in your house.
Wow, you said 6
Yeah.
Tesla Powerwalls. That's awesome. I think people can start to see like this is not just a little bit of extra battery.
A typical home, let's say Powerwall system might be 1 or 2 of these. You're talking about 3 to 5 times as much energy to power your house as a capable, home solar system just installed on the home would be.
Great. And speaking of solar, I understand you're looking at having it on the awning as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have a package space. Do you see the witness line above the small window in the chamfer there? So there's the door. The window,
I think so, yeah.
and then there's a cutout there. There's about a 5-inch package space where over time we will develop a solar awning to integrate into that cavity, so that basically it's hidden away and again preserves that sleek form of the vehicle for driving efficiency, but can pop out when you need it to give some extra juice. For the vast majority of people, we have about 2 kilowatts of solar built into the fixed portion of the roof, and have done a lot of work at a more detailed level too, to make sure that solar array is very resilient, meaning both over time and natural occurrences like you're driving through the Midwest and you hit a hailstorm, that sort of thing, that it's a robust solar array. The idea here is that we're really designing towards the RV camping experience. So think about how common it is that you get to a campsite and maybe a portion of the vehicle is shade covered, like you might have a tree or even just a long branch overhead. We've designed the array to be tolerant to that sort of shading, so that instead of all the power dropping off as some people might be used to, if you have just a little bit of shading, most of the capability of the array is preserved.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before. How do you do that?
It's a series of bypasses built into the array, so that even if a portion, like a set of the solar cells goes down, their voltage drops. Their drop in voltage is not influencing the other solar cells around those that are affected. So you're basically shunting power around the affected portion of the array.
Which is not how your typical solar system on your house works.
Yeah. Yeah, we do this at a very I guess a very resolved level. The bypasses are not just like a third and a third and a third, where you'd lose a third of the array. It is significantly more resolved than that. So if only say 10 or 15% of the array is covered, then the the balance of the array is still functional.
Wow, that's great to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah, because shaded sites are such a wanted thing for the summer. But yeah, they mess up your charging.
One of our starting ideas with the array is that this vehicle has a big roof, and we should make complete use of it for a solar array. So you shouldn't have to dodge around, vents and things like that are coming up through the roof, which if they existed would hurt the aerodynamics as well. We wanted to dedicate the entire usable surface of that big roof to solar, and so you'll see this even more on the production vehicle, that the solar array comes all the way out to the extents of the roof. And even if you look at it sort of on a zoomed in perspective, we don't have individual solar cells that are tiled in a pattern with sort of gaps between the cells. We've actually shingled the solar cells together so that the entire portion of the roof is active area for power generation, which again is totally unheard of in this space.
Right, and I think that's the right direction to go. Might as well use all that space.
It took a lot of work though, a lot of engineering to have something that is that integrated and high performance and will last.
So can you still walk on the roof?
I think not. I think you'd not want to put a big footprint on at least certain portions of the roof.
But there's really no need to, right? I mean,
well, there's nothing up there to get at apart from the array, which itself doesn't stand alone on the roof. It is a part of the roof as well.
And safe to go through a car wash and wash off the solar panels. And
if the car wash is big enough to, a big RV manual wash where you're getting up on a ladder to spray it down up top, no problem.
Okay.
No problem.
That's some of the fun testing that we do too. We're doing all sorts of impact testing on the solar glass, making sure you can get a quarter size hail and there's no issue. It's kind of foundational to our approach is having really an automotive development and test process.
Great. Yeah, that opens up a whole new area. I mean, we talk a lot about RV quality, and having RVs built to automotive standards is what I think the consumer wants. And that's something you guys are working toward?
If you think about it, it's actually kind of crazy that you would buy a vehicle like this, something that just like a car you're going to put out on the road for hopefully a long time, and one type of vehicle, let's take your a Ford F-150, you're pretty confident is going to last you a decade plus, and the other one is maybe a few months of hard use before you start to see issues. There's a big one is a far cry from the other right now, which needs to change.
Well, Shuri and my RV is 5 years old, and it's just constant breakdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, it's getting ready for this trip. I'm looking underneath. What's that water dripping down right there? I'm like, oh, another thing to add to the list. So I literally have a RV tech's phone number card in my
Speed
hotel
dial.
room. Yeah, it's I'm gonna be back in a couple of days. Can you come out and fix it again? I mean, we have an extended warranty just to cover all of it. So I'm glad you guys are really addressing quality. It's the number one issue. I think even more than design from our viewers is they'll take simple and lesser tech if it's bulletproof.
Yeah, robust, built to last. Yeah.
Yes, they love the tech as well, but they're wary of too much of it if they think it's going to cause problems and take away from a camping trip.
Yeah.
So awesome.
This was something that was pretty foundational when we started. This is 3 years ago, where we're okay, we're going to build an all electric RV. That was the starting point. It wasn't immediately obvious that quality or design had to be a part of it, and it was only by doing a lot of RVing ourselves and talking to a lot of people who RV where you immediately realize the RV is or I should say making it electric is an enabler. It's cool. It lets you do new things. It lets you be off grid for longer, but the ever present topic of conversation is like, the thing isn't lasting very long. What do I do? How do I like upkeep it? And I'd say that was like the first kind of like year of our company where we're like, wow, there's actually really an opportunity here just to build the product better. And like one of our core values from that learning and from those early days was, we said, built to last. It's like let's not just build a product that's electric, let's make it one that will last for it's like a generational thing. Like you pass it down to your kid. It's not something you're selling every 2 or 3 years.
This was one of your, I remember you were in my very early conversations, like first couple months that we were working together, where what you talked about the Eames chair, and I talked about a really nice watch that's something like a Rolex or something like that, where you just know this is going to last for 50 years. So those sorts of products and ownership experiences are super inspiring for the two of us.
Yeah. Awesome. Love to hear that. What are you looking at for a warranty, or do you know yet?
We haven't announced a warranty yet, but it's going to be good. And the reason we're confident in saying that is because we are going through an automotive test process, which is really unheard of in the RV industry. So for us, that starts with really first safety and functional testing. So it's like number one is like making sure that it's super safe, making sure that it works as intended, and then going through a pretty extended reliability and durability test cycle. So that means like taking the lift system, running it hundreds of times, like every door. This is gonna be like the funnest intern job ever, like opening and closing a door 1,000 times, right? Like that, I mean, that's literally like on the test program. So we want to progress that program before we establish what the warranty is. But it's going to be really good. And I think what's also really cool is if you look at the sort of EV part of it, so the motor, the batteries, because a lot of that technology comes from the automotive industry, where the tradition is not like a 1-year warranty, or maybe if it's good it's a 3-year warranty. It's more like a 8 or 10-year warranty. It's like hundreds of thousands of miles. It's like thousands and thousands of cycles. And so we feel really confident in that part of the vehicle system, which will enable us to, I think, have a really best-in-class warranty when you think about the vehicle as an electric vehicle.
That would be great. I mean, people, you start talking 8 to 10 years, I mean, people are going to get really excited about that.
Yeah, I think that's something we're excited to share more with as we get through our test programs.
Another part of that sort of automotive validation and test approach is not to just test the whole vehicle at the end, but you do it at every level of how it's built. So you start at like the component, the bolted joint, go up to the sub-assemblies, maybe just the HVAC system, just the climate control system on its own, then look at how it performs in the vehicle still in the lab setting, then you take them on the road. Like if you do it at many levels, you gain a lot of confidence along the way.
Well, I need to do some serious boondocking in this heat out there, so you mind if I borrow this and see if I can survive in the 110 degree heat?
We'll get you one of our beta units.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah. Our ambition is that I think we'll achieve this is that water becomes the limiter on the dry camping experience, not power.
Yeah, water is, I'm going to ask you, or if you don't talk about the tanks, I'll be asking you about it.
Yep. We have more videos coming out with Lightship RV, including an in-depth tour with the founders of the company. We also have how-to videos, adventures, and more. Thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate it.
This opening is indicative of the garage opening on the production vehicle. On the production vehicle, what you get is a full pass-through garage, so it's from one side all the way to the other. So little cutouts like this, for instance, you won't see, but it's a pretty substantial amount of space. You could probably easily put a family's worth of luggage and stuff. We'll also have a front trunk, that's it's sometimes called, up on the tongue box up there. So this will be, let's say you're just stopping for a quick second roadside and you need something quick from the RV. You're not going to take the couple of minutes to lift up the canopy, which is what we call the top half of the vehicle, you can just go into the front, pop it open, and grab something out of that.
And you have space because you don't have propane tanks.
No, yeah, exactly. That was a big opportunity here. It was part of what enabled us to take the air conditioner off of the roof, was having no propane cans on the tongue, and so you want to then reuse that space for something productive. And so we put the HVAC and some of the power system up there, but still preserved a notch for a frunk.
So we do a little bit of an overview of charging, and you'll also get to see the evolution here and how we've upgraded the system. But so yeah, Gen 1 system, we have the charger here in the back, and we used the CCS standard, or J1772, and you can see that here. And as you know, as we spend a lot of time hauling the Alpha around, get a little bit of a better view. A couple things became apparent. One is that we really wanted to change the charge port location. So when you see the beta vehicles, you'll see it here up at the front, right actually near the frunk. And that was done from a lot of sort of looking at sort of topology of charging both at fast chargers or at campgrounds. We found it to be a lot easier to have it up there in the front. And then the other big change going into production is we switched over from the CCS standard to the NACV, or the Tesla standard, which is something that we're pretty excited about.
Yeah, going to NACS, NACS is a big deal for us. It's I think pretty clear at this point that the North American charging standard will be the fast charging standard for really fast and slow charging standard for EVs. And you've probably heard there are a lot of Tesla superchargers out there as well, so pretty enticing to look at that network as an option too. The thinking or the realization with moving the charge port from the rear of the vehicle, where you might find it on a more traditional RV, up to the front, was one, just the design of vehicles. So you can imagine if the whole top is telescoped down, you still may want to be able to access the charge port. Best place to do that, or the best way to do that, is when it's up on the tongue box up here. Pretty key for fast charging as well. So if you're fast charging, let's say you have an EV truck, if you're fast charging your truck and your trailer at the same time, you would want the charge port to be as close to the truck's charge port as possible. That's sort of the best place for the way that most fast charging sites, DC fast charging sites, are laid out. We also liked it coming up front here because it's just ergonomically better. It's nice to have it sort of at holster or hip height, as opposed to having to reach down for it. And all of these things, I'd say we came to that realization from having had, thousands of people come through the Gen 1, the prototype vehicle, and having lots of long conversations with folks about topics like this. And I had a bunch of people mention to us that this is where they can imagine themselves using the charge port the most, and so that's what's going to work for us. We're making sure that the charging cord set that you have, the power cord, is long enough to reach the power pedestal in an RV park, sort of no matter where the pedestal is placed, even, for instance, if it's placed near the very rear of the vehicle.
But they shouldn't have to use that too often, right? Yeah,
unless you're really heavily using a lot of the appliances, or if you're in a low sun scenario, as like maybe you're in Olympic Park up in the Pacific Northwest, you might deplete the battery in that case and want to charge back up. I think one of the things that's really awesome for us is that EV charging infrastructure is maybe one of the challenges sort of hindering the broad adoption of electric vehicles. And in RVing, it's not nearly as much of a challenge. We say to ourselves that destination charging is built into the RV experience, because so many RV campgrounds have 50 amp hookups that traditionally you use to run say 3 air conditioners on a big motor coach, but also have enough power to charge up an L1 from empty to full overnight.
So you expect it to charge pretty quickly then?
Yeah, because it's an EV style powertrain. A lot of those components are the same ones that you'd find in a passenger car. The terminology is a little confusing, but you can level 1, level 2, or level 3 charge the vehicle. Level 1 charging is like trickle charging, so you run an extension cord from your garage, and it would take like a couple days to go from totally empty to full. Level 2 charging is more like overnight charging, and it's the type of 240 volt power that you can get at an RV campground, or maybe a dryer outlet if you have one of those at home, or if you already have an EV charger at your house, then of course you can level 2 charge your L1 overnight at home. Level 3 charging is fast charging, so that's like a sub 1 hour charging time, and that'd be where you'd roll it into a public station, plug it in, grab lunch, and then come back, and you're good to go for another 300 miles of range assist.
Okay, great. No, that's great to hear. I don't drive an EV, so I don't know these things.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's a brand new world. It's not unapproachable, but there's new education. There's new stuff to learn, and it's in some ways it's part of the fun of it. This is where your fresh hookup will be.
Okay.
You'll see that on the beta vehicles as well, the next gen vehicle.
What kind of tank capacities do you have?
We've got it's a just under a 50 gallon fresh tank. I think it's 49 and change. About it's like a 30 or 35 gallon gray, and slightly smaller on the black.
Okay.
So basically, you can fully exhaust your fresh tank into the gray and black, and you'll see if you flip around as well. You'll see that the fresh tank on the production vehicle is between the 2 axles, so that whether you're full or empty, you're not changing the weight balance of the trailer very much. So it'll still tow stably in either case. And then the black and gray are at the back, just under the bathroom.
We haven't released the official numbers because as we're completing the production design, we're taking every little inch of space we can, and every little every gram of mass we can to put it to the water tank. So
thank you for that.
That's
on behalf of the RVers of America, thank you for that.
Yeah, we've heard that a number of times.
It's kind of fun in a way, but disappointing that I talk to RVers all the time about is finding hidden space.
Yeah.
So it's like a treasure hunt, and for the DIY people, it's like, oh great, here's hidden space that's not used in the RV, and the rest of us that don't want a DIY are like, well, why wasn't it already storage?
Yeah, right.
It's like every square inch of extra space should be used for water, storage, something useful, provided it fits into the weight that you're trying to do. So thank you, gentlemen, for doing that. We have been screaming for, the standard RV companies to change and just let's update the design, let's do something different.
Yeah.
And it's so much of the it's always been done this way, so we're going to keep doing it that way. So thank you for doing that.
I think you'll see when we go on the inside that we have some pretty novel approaches to adding storage.
I'm interested in the from a water use standpoint. Now that you guys of course have a fair amount of experience in conserving your water, but if you talk about, let's say, a 50 gallon fresh tank, how long would y'all stretch that?
Well, we have our particular RV has 2 freshwater tanks. It's like built for boondocking. It has over 150 gallons of fresh.
Yeah.
So it's a big toy hauler. It's insanely larger. I mean, I'm envious of the smaller size to get into more places because we can't go everywhere we want to go.
Yeah.
But we've stretched 150 gallons, pushing it to 2 weeks. So if we cut that in, by a third, if you're at 50,
5 days.
So yeah, maybe 4 or 5 days. That's military style showers, being super quick.
Daily though? Daily showers or maybe every other?
Yes, that was daily. Yeah. we were using it. You know, we were camping around Zion, and we were out adventuring every day, and so it was a definite. But yeah, I mean, 4 or 5 days. That's a long weekend for a lot of people. And you know, there's a little bit extra to spare, or you have a large family. That's just 2 of us, so you're gonna burn through that quicker. If you have kids, you're always like,
turn the faucet off.
Shut that off.
I was, when I go out with my kids, that's the problem.
Yeah, but at least, I mean, you don't have to do that with electricity.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, that's a huge thing.
Yeah.
Because we can only run 1 AC at a time.
Yeah.
We have 3 of them. It's like, okay, shut this one off, start this one, and okay, shut that off. We're running the microwave, and so it's just not designed to do everything all at once. But
Ben calls that phenomenon managing a rolling brownout, which is about right.
I like that, but you know, it's like, that's okay for me, but like Cherie doesn't want to mess with that BS.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like she is just annoyed by that kind of stuff.
It's a lot that we're putting up with to do that. I mean, I think what it should be is this should feel more like a vacation home, where like you turn it on. Okay, maybe when you first come to the vacation home, you have to flip the main on, but after that, it just works.
Right.
Your outlets have power. You're not constantly thinking about, do I have enough, or shifting loads from place to place. In the RV, it should be simple.
So then I should just ask, so you designed it so you can run AC, you can run the convection microwave oven, and you have a dishwasher. They have a dishwasher in this size of trailer. That's awesome. I mean, that's a great. I mean, that was a surprise to see that.
It's uncommon. Great. It's uncommon in this size. We love it too from the water saving standpoint, though, because unless you're really experienced in sort of conserving water dish by dish, it's much more water efficient to just use a high efficiency dishwasher. It's a little over 2 gallons per cycle. So
wow. That's
not that you're going to do this with 25 cycles of dishes.
So literally out there boondocking, you can run the dishwasher, and it's going to only chew through a few gallons of water.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Ben and I didn't initially agree about this one. Ben was pro dishwasher. I was like, that's a lot. It's a lot of cost.
I'm sort of the maximalist.
And we as often as we can, but at least once a year, we'll go on a founder RV trip, and he convinced me by. We made a big pasta dinner, had a whiskey or 2, and then made me do the dishes. And I was like, all right, we're getting the dishwasher.
Like the light off.
Well, that, and if you talk to a lot of RVers, that may not be considered a necessity, but wow, it is high on that list of wanted items, especially if for full-timers out there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's huge, but you know, even part-time.
Yeah.
So, awesome.
Yeah. The big idea there is, I mean, I guess we've touched on it a couple of times already, but it's like, how do we spend less time maintaining and keeping up this vehicle and operating it, setting it up, tearing it down, all of this stuff, and more time out camping? And so this is another one of those elements where, like, it's convenience, it's an efficiency thing. More than anything, it's preserving your time to go hang out at the picnic table or go on a hike or whatever you want to do.
I like that. I mean, anywhere you can shave off any amount of time off setup or tear down of your campsite, setting up the RV. That's more time camping, and you're just going to get a lot more happy campers. Because that can be a stressful time, is when you only have 2 or 3 days for a weekend camping trip, and you're getting off of work and you're grabbing the kids and shoving everybody in the truck and like, let's get to the campsite before dark. don't want to set up, for you new campers, you don't want to set up in the dark.
Yeah, right.
But if you can shave a few minutes off of that, that's just quicker to having fun, enjoying time with your family.
Well, and I think you were saying this earlier. If you're somebody who goes out a lot, or even if you're full timing, there's an attrition. There's like a mental attrition to constantly having to do this. It's like that's the thing that maybe wears you down over time. So the more of that you're not having to do, the more sustainable this whole lifestyle is.
Exactly. Less time means less exhaustion, less burnout on camping if you're full time.
You gotta save your energy for like kids' bedtimes.
Yeah.
That'll take some energy.
Yeah. Exactly.
If your kids are like mine.
Not to pass it by, this is a material library that shows some of the different touch points and the look and feel of the materials that we'll see inside of the vehicle. There's a lot to go through here. I'll call out a few. We love this. It's called a 3D knit fabric. So if you feel it, it's pretty plush.
Oh yeah.
It's a mixture of wool and recycled polyester, PET.
Nice.
It's got a great feel to it. It's a really complex design as well. So I really like how it strikes the eye. Super comfortable. It's woven in such a way that there's no scrap or there's no waste in the weaving process. So it's a machine. It's a little bit like how, if you've seen like some Nike shoes, things like that, how the fabric is this woven into this 3D shape when it's got kind of like a plush mesh upper.
Right.
Same style. And so the machine is weaving the fabric to exactly the right shape, so you don't have cutoffs. So there's not the waste cutoff. Like if you're cutting from a flat sheet, you're only using the exact amount of material that the product design calls for.
Interesting.
Cool.
And what do you use that fabric for?
You'll see on the inside, it's
Okay.
a lot of, really all of the cushions. So the seat backs, seat bottoms, some of the bedding area all has this 3D knit fabric. Use some technical materials for like ripstops and things like that for the headliner up top. Love this countertop material. So there's a lot of our approach is towards reuse as much as possible of materials, and meaning recycled plastics, things like that. This is what you'll find in the production bathroom countertop, and so you can see it's a really nice design, but at the same time there's these redrawing materials. These are coming from old appliances that have been chopped up and repurposed.
Oh, okay.
So this material is not all virgin material, they call it. Some of it is a thoughtful reuse of a material that's already done work before. It's great for the environment.
Right.
Similarly, with something like this is what you'll find in the dining room tabletop. So if you look closely, you can see these fabric threads that are still in there. So there's actually lots of recycled apparel, like clothing. I think we've heard that it's old banker suits are being repurposed, chopped down, and then mixed up into now a nice new kind of pleasing to the eye tabletop material. So that sort of thinking you'll find throughout the materials on the interior. Picked up on is the same opaque plastic that we used to partition off the bathroom from the rest of the space. Is also what we used in the dividers here in our showroom.
Oh,
So
okay.
that same material, it's all over the place. This is something we love doing, is even representing these little elements of the product in the other ways that we show up in the world. So we have a called a depot, Lightship's first depot in San Francisco, in an area called Oyster Point, just right next to the airport there, and we're decking out. This depot will be sort of like a sales, service, and experience center, but it's also where we do a sizable portion of our product R&D. And as we're now designing the lobby space in this depot. We're trying to pull some of the elements of the product into the lobby space as well, so you may not even notice it, but then when you see it again later on, for instance in the vehicle, you're like, wow, yeah, it seems familiar.
Awesome.
Yeah.
No, that's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Ben, shall we take a look inside?
All right, Tom, let's get up in here. So this is the interior of the Lightship L1.
Wow, it's so roomy and the windows just blow me away in here.
I honestly didn't, I don't think any of us anticipated how open it would feel until before building this kind of Gen 1 prototype. We built a very, startup style, quick and dirty mock-up of the interior. We called it the interior buck. It was basically plywood, 2x4s, not much else, but it was full scale. And I remember the first time that we stepped into it, we were like, oh my gosh, this feels like an apartment or something. You get the tall ceiling plus a lot of transparent surfaces, so you don't really feel penned in the same way that you do in a lot of small RVs. It totally changes the experience.
What is the length of this?
It's about a 26 foot, between 26 and 27 foot travel trailers. It's the body is about 23 feet.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's, and I think in square footage terms, it's a little bit less than 200 square feet.
Okay, interior square feet.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. But like you say, it feels like a lot more. Let me describe sort of the different zones of the interior before we get into all the details. We have a lounge space here, which doubles as the bedroom. Right now it's fully open. We'll offer an accessory that is a privacy shade, basically, or a partition that allows you to partition off the bedroom from the rest of the space if maybe you've already put the kids down to bed and mom and dad want to hang out and have a glass of wine after hours. You could do that with a setup like that. So the lounge area is your chill out, hang out zone during the day, and then it's where you're sleeping at night. We didn't actually build it into this prototype, but we'll also have what we call a third bed option, or a lofted bed. So
wow,
this is set up right now as a 4-person camper, but you can get up to 6 with the addition of that drop down lofted bed. It hides up into the ceiling during the day. Dining area, of course. This whole console down the length is a storage console. It's lots of storage space for clothing and what have you in each of these compartments.
Great.
And a charging zone for your devices, so your catch-all.
That's what that is.
Device
all right. Love how the windows swing out like that.
Yeah, exactly. There's a funny side story where Lightship was originally the very first thought, very early days, is that it would be an electric food truck business, and now by happenstance, I guess, I didn't ask the designers to do this. We ended up with these food truck style, openable windows, the swing open window. What's one thing that I'm so excited about is that on this prototype, right now only this window opens. In the production vehicle, we have 4 opening windows.
Oh, wow.
This pillar right here gets replicated over here, so that will be a fixed in place window, as are the nose. But you'll have this window, this one, and then both behind the kitchen area here are all going to be able to open up, and so it's going to be an open air gazebo experience, which I think is going to be amazing.
That's great. When it's nice outside, which might be part of the day, like evenings now, but then during the day when it's 100 outside, it's like you can crank the AC.
Yeah, exactly. Then you're closed down. We not shown in this prototype. We'll have blackout shades. You can pull down blackout shades, roller shades, or bug screens. There's kind of both. So either if it's if it's a buggy night but you want the window open, just a bug screen, or if you're trying to keep the sun out and blast the AC, then or just have some privacy, then you pull down all the blackouts. and yeah, you'll keep cool. You're probably wondering if, you know, we talked about how the air conditioner is not on the roof. Question then becomes where is it? Like where is the air coming from? It's a pretty trick part of the design that the blower motor for the air conditioner is hidden in the crook right here.
Really?
This is probably my favorite nook in the whole vehicle. I love hanging out on the corner of the short side of the L. And so that HVAC blower motor now blows air behind the seat back here. So the seat back itself is a duct. Okay?
Wow.
It's an air conditioning duct. And then there's a slit. There's a series of slits behind the seat back there, which again is doubling as a duct. And so you'll get a curtain of cool air that comes up all the way where you see this coral colored seat back.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yeah. It's gonna be.
Does it extend all the way up there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, the full 180 plus.
Yeah, that is great. And I mean, this size of table for this size of trailer is great. Mm-hmm. And then this is another 2-person bed, right?
Yeah,
here.
exactly. Right. So this will be a queen sized bed up front, and then this is more of a full, and the drop down bed will also be about a full size.
Okay.
Yeah, there we go. So the whole table will drop down as well. So this is how you get the unbroken sleeping surface. So the table sort of needed to be this big to act as a full bed.
As the platform, right? Yeah.
But it's nice that it is, because it means you can get 6 people on there pretty easily. I think in most settings, if let's say it's a 4-person family, you'll just be on the L portion of the seating. But you could, if you maybe you had some dinner guests over, you can pull up another couple chairs around the other side and have a nice dinner.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, I'm psyched about this. We talked about the storage here. So bed in the front, second bed, dining area. This is all kitchen. Of course, it's a pretty, fully appointed kitchen. So, induction cooktop. Of course, all the appliances are electric because they're running off of the big EV battery. Microwave. It's actually going to be a microwave convection oven in the production version. Big double drawer fridge here.
I saw that. That is great.
Yep.
So clean to do it that way.
Yeah. Comes in handy at the shows that we go to as well, because some of them are blazing hot in the desert, and it's nice to have some cool bevies to
right.
out. Separate freezer area here. So,
so that's the freezer, and
exactly.
These were both just refrigerator.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Wow.
Yeah, it's in sum total. I think it's something like 5 + 2 cubic feet in total. So it's a fair amount of food storage space. The goal across the product has been to have a small family be able to go out for up to a week, and so we've sized everything to that goal. This is sort of your junk drawer,
Yeah, I mean,
you gotta, like as you said, you gotta make use of every remaining inch of space, and so of course we're diving around the plumbing there.
Yeah, most RV manufacturers would just leave that alone. It would be a walled off area, and here you've created all this space.
Yep.
Yeah, that's great.
I agree. And then the coup de grace.
Right. Dun dun dun. Yeah.
Six setting dishwasher. So again, enough for a small family. Uses very little water per cycle. We actually have this same dishwasher in one of our offices, and so we're running it frequently, and I'll tell you, it's very quiet.
And you said that was more efficient than washing by hand.
Yeah, quite a bit. Typically, what I've read, I haven't tried this myself, but I think typically you'd use maybe 3 or 4 gallons of water if you're watching your water use, but hand washing the dishes. This is closer to 2. Which is
that's
great.
Awesome.
A lot of time and hassle saved too. Little step up here. This is kind of nice. It's just a second layer where you can put maybe your spices and things like that. Big countertops. One thing that I think makes the interior really unique is that unlike maybe a more traditional RV where it's an inside out design challenge where you design an interior and then put a box around it, and those are the trailer walls. In our case, we think of this as a vehicle first, something that needs to go down the road and be efficient and durable and all those things as it goes, and then we built a living space within that efficient vehicle. And so the shape of the body, which is unique, for instance, we're looking at a boat tail here. The body sort of declines in width as you get to the back to help the aerodynamics. That same shape gets replicated all across the interior, so the countertops, for instance, are following the shape of that exterior design. This is a trash area. Here's your pantry, all your pots and pans and food
lots
storage,
of space,
etc.
You've got really tough magnets on here, so those are not going to open down the road.
Arguably a little too tough for tuning that in, but yeah, it's obviously important they don't come loose as you're going, and then a nice sort of a spa bathroom in the back.
This is incredible for this size of trailer.
Yeah.
I mean, often with a travel trailer, you're looking at a combo with your toilet and your shower in the same spot, and this is but separate, lots of space here, and the windows and this mirror. Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh. Yeah, Sheree is always talking to me about RV bathrooms being like, they're not thinking of women in general for RV bathrooms, so she's going to think this is awesome.
Good lighting, a nice mirror, like you're saying, having it be a dry bath where your shower and your toilet space are separate from one another. Nobody likes water from the shower on the toilet.
Right.
After all of that we thought there was a big opportunity. More of that recycled plastic material, like I showed you outside.
Where you can get different finishes. If someone doesn't want the more pink kind of look there, you can go with something else.
Yeah, for instance, and we've also this as a show vehicle. This is like the most bold version of the vehicle interior that we would show. We've toned it down a little bit as well, so that you get that essence of really unique and sort of environmentally oriented design, but it's not gonna it's not totally crazy. Love the rain shower head. Your overhead shower head is really nice here, and a tile floor as well. So yeah, a bathroom you can actually use.
Yeah, that is great. So many people with travel trailers have to use like the campground or RV park facilities because they're just not comfortable to get a shower in.
No, the bummer for me is when you end up using your bathroom as a storage, like an extra storage zone, because you as the owner for whatever reason don't want to use it. I think it should be like a place that you can go to at the end of a long day. Let's say you've been out for a long hike and relax. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out our infotainment system.
I have not.
Yeah, so this is pretty cool. I also groundbreaking in this type of product to have a truly integrated and custom developed infotainment system. So this is the way that you see everything that's happening on board the vehicle. It's how you control the different parts of it. So if for instance, we'll have physical switches as well. We'll have physical light switches in the production version, but maybe you're already in bed and you're just you forgot to turn off the bathroom lights. You can now do that, from above. So I think
that is great.
I think it's good. I think it's a good improvement. And you can do this on every portion of the vehicle. So this is how you do your climate control, check to make sure all your doors and windows are closed and locked as you're setting off.
Oh, okay.
We'll do this a little later. This is how you raise and lower the canopy, the top half of the vehicle to go between the road and the camp mode. Check your water levels across the vehicle. Okay, yeah, so there you go. I believe this is where we landed. 50-35-30.
Okay, yeah, that's great.
That's right.
Any kind of cameras or security system at all?
Yes, not built into this. This was sort of our demonstration piece, but yeah, we will have a really awesome camera system built into the vehicle. It's it comprises of 2 side cameras in each of the hoops here, and then a fisheye camera, like a backup camera in the rear.
Okay.
This is cool. So it means you can get a 270-degree view around the whole trailer, and we're even working on having kind of like an overhead or a Hawkeye view as well, so you can really see everything that's around the trailer from the infotainment system, which as a mobile tablet you'll take up into the tow vehicle.
Okay.
As you're going down the road. The vehicle itself is a Wi-Fi base station, so it creates its own Wi-Fi network, and it has a cell connection to to a cell provider. And so as you're up in the truck, for instance, and let's say you want to check your tire pressures, you'll be able to see what the tire pressures are, make sure they're all in good shape from getting data wirelessly from the vehicle to the truck.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is awesome. And what is this bag hanging up right here?
Yeah, it's a great. We have a cheeky name for it. It's part of the garage. The idea is to have a flexible storage system. So you can see that. I think some people, if they're only going out for a weekend, maybe they want to preserve the window space and get that extra light coming in. So maybe you have the blinds down here, but you still want some natural light to come in. Great, you can do that. Let's say you're a family or you're going out for a longer period, you might want some extra storage. And so we have these gear rails up here on both sides, and there's a whole accessory system that we have begun to develop for the gear rails. It'll be things like storage totes, both soft and hard. Each of these is, for point of reference, I think it's about the size of a carry-on, an airplane carry-on, so you can get something like 3 on this side. And actually the production version of the vehicle, we've extended the gear rails over the doorway.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so you have 2 full-length gear rails, so I think in total you get about 8 cubes worth of additional overhead storage space. That's sort of separate from it, and in addition to having the four lower storage compartments, and then that whole garage, the pass-through garage under the bed.
Yeah. Does this come out right here?
Yeah, this one does. It's I think we've had a couple of issues on the prototype, so I don't want to pull it immediately, but this is actually going to be one of, if not the notable change between this generation, the prototype generation of the product, and the production version. We designed this as kind of like an IKEA sofa, if you've seen those, where the foot comes out, you flip it up.
Sure.
The production version of the product, this was still a few too many steps for my liking, and so we've now got it's almost like a folding Murphy bed. So it opens up like a clamshell. It's when the bed is closed, it's stadium seating, you could say. So there's a love seat portion, and then there's a raised lounge portion. All of the bedding is contained within it, though, and so you're going to pull a single strap. The whole thing opens up. The bedding is pre-made within it, and now you get this diamond-shaped queen-size bed.
Wow,
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I think it's going to be really amazing. Yeah, and actually the beauty of doing that, going to the stadium seat style setup, and while preserving the lounge, is that it opens up a lot of extra interior storage space down below. So all of this compartment here, going back maybe 18 inches, is now open interior storage as well. And then there's a bulkhead that separates the interior from the wet exterior.
Nice job, Ben. Wow. It's
Thanks.
like you guys have put a lot into this.
Yeah. It's and the thing that it's hard for me to communicate right now, but you will see in a couple months as we open up configurations of the production product, is just how much work has gone in between this this concept vehicle and the production version of the vehicle, we have spent the last 18 months or so going from a 30-person team to now something like an 85-person team. That's included a lot of expansion of the operations and the product development team. There is a ton of production-oriented engineering and supply chain work, and like all of the steps that are required to take this from a concept to a working product that you or I would want to own. And it's going to be a party when we get to show it to the rest of the world.
I bet.
Yeah.
No, it's very exciting. Is this full lighting right now?
Yes, it is. This is actually an area we knew after having you actually build it and you learn a lot of things. The lighting on the ring light here was a little too dim for our liking, so we now have it was always good in the back with the task lights, but we've beefed up the lighting on the front here so that you get good coverage throughout.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, talk about an area where you can literally like look at the stars.
Yeah, I'm so glad you picked up on that. This is the first time that Toby and I ever camped in this thing. We were going to give a pitch for the company, and it's pretty funny actually. We were in it was like downtown in California. It was in the town of Palo Alto, and we parked this thing at the train station there overnight. So we're like camping in the train station, getting ready to give the company pitch the next day. And one of the things that really stood out to me, which I knew would be cool, but didn't know how cool it was looking up through the horseshoe windows there and getting a view of the night sky from the bed.
Oh wow!
It was pretty great.
I'll have to crawl back here
So we have the blocks there too. Whenever kids
move the
come
kids'
by,
toys.
yeah, they always play with it.
Oh yeah.
But it's pretty great. We've taken this to, of course, some natural settings too. Like we've gone out to we were at a ski mountain in Utah near Ogden recently, and you're like looking up the mountain slope from within this, and you just keep seeing all the way up because there's so many windows built in. It was cool. We've taken a lot of time to make sure that I think a natural challenge when you have lots of windows is you want to make sure that they're all durable, and that they're unlikely to break. And so, for instance, all of these big window panes down low are automotive safety glass, so like the same glass that goes into a windshield. It's a piece of laminated, double layered glass.
Okay.
So it won't shatter, and it's quite durable. The front windows here, which you remember, or you'll see as you drop the canopy down, these windows are directly behind the truck that's pulling it. So you got to think about rock chips and scratching, things like that, debris coming off of the road. So all of these windows, the ones behind are glass. These ones are a formed acrylic, like an aircraft windshield material, and we'll also have a hard coating on them so that they're plastic but scratch resistant. So you'll get a combo of good impact resistance and scratch resistance, so that you don't have a wear problem with them.
And rounded. That is such a you just don't see rounded windows in RVs.
Yeah, and it's all a part of that aerodynamic necessity. It's such a I think there's this idea of form following function that is absolutely the case with something like these windows, where they're curved because they need to be curved, because the air needs to hit them and then stay attached to the body of the vehicle, not hit it and fly off. It needs to be a smooth form all the way down the length, and having a curved surface like that is what allows you to do that. All these are just access panels in the hoops there, so you access the wiring and things like that.
Okay.
To do maintenance. Yeah, as we saw, there's a lot going on under the floor. These two seats in the production vehicle are flip up as well. This one is flip up just to create more space, or even if, for instance, maybe you want to store your bike inside the vehicle. If you're going out for a ways, you can pull the bike in here. That flip up seat is where the bedding gets stored for this bed here. So you pop it up sort of like chest style and grab the stuff in there.
So right in here?
Yeah. I think it's probably fixed on the
Oh,
prototype.
okay.
But yeah, it'll flip up on a hinge. And actually, if you have we're designing the vehicle to be Starlink ready. So if you're going out for a ways and you want to make sure you have broadband satellite internet via something like Starlink, we have a spot for a Starlink router back here, and we'll have a pass-through available as well, like an Ethernet pass-through where you can plug in your Starlink dish outside and run it back to the router.
Blown away by this, Ben. I mean, you take so many areas and like, how can it be better? And this is great. I mean, something so aerodynamic, and it looks great. Tons of storage, and it's not going to cost you at the fuel, tank.
Yeah, right.
I mean.
Yeah, if you're towing with a traditional vehicle, a gas or diesel vehicle, you go a couple thousand miles, you're saving hundreds of dollars of fuel costs along the way. And so if you're doing long miles like you guys do, that really adds up.
Yeah, totally, and you can get about 300 miles.
Range. Yeah, it will self-propel for 300 miles as well.
Okay.
So there, right, exactly. This is a cool thing too. If you're, let's say you're towing with a diesel, you might choose to get the drive system. You might not. If you didn't, then you would just get, I don't know, instead of 8 or 9 miles a gallon, you're back up into the high teens. If you did get the drive system and you're towing with a diesel, now your fuel economy is basically back to your unladen highway fuel economy for that 300 miles of charge that you have.
So, right, if you run out and you need to keep going another 100 miles, you can just tow it regular.
Then it's just a very aerodynamic, normal freewheeling trailer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Then you probably get to the campsite, and maybe it's a site with hookups, and you plug in, and you're going another 300 miles the next day.
I'm having a hard time picking what needs to be added. Like, what is it missing? Of course,
I'm quite sure there's stuff we have not thought of. This actually was part of the reason why we did this flexible storage system, having the gear rails, for instance, we'll have little tie down points around the vehicle, because I think the more people that we get into this, the more we're going to hear about how people want to use it. Because it's only when you really go camping with it for a long time that like, these are all the details that are missing. And so we tried to, knowing that we're brand new here, we tried to future-proof a little bit in having points where you can add stuff over time, so that people's good ideas are something we can actually build into even this first product.
Well, and I wasn't too sure about this being a full-timers RV, but now that I'm in here and I look at all of the storage, and I mean, yeah, just making it such a cheap way to travel for a full-timer.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get all this space when it's fully deployed. I think it's a great option. I think it is.
Especially for a couple, if you're just two people going out full timing, you've got a big truck too. Here's the idea: you've been out for 5 or 6 hours. It's a long travel day, and you just rolled up to the campsite. Everybody's hungry for dinner. The kids are like, "Come on, what are we gonna eat?" There's this really cool presentational moment that happens as you've had the camper in road mode, so it's in this sleek aerodynamic shape. You can now see that it's really only about the height of a truck. It's the same as a, I think it's within a couple of inches of an F-150, the top of the cab. So it's truly tows pretty small between a low roof line and having this heavy battery in the floor that sort of stabilizes the trailer. It's a nice towing dynamic. Now it's time to start camping and then to get into the trailer. So you've pulled up, you've unhitched, and then there's this moment as I raise up the canopy, and you can see the progress there. Goes pretty quickly. I think we're talking about a minute or so, And this is a presentational moment. Like,
Well, this is when
everyone-
you get the whole campground
Yeah.
to come over and say, "Oh my gosh,
as
look
we're
at
talking,
that!"
a crowd is gathering.
Right.
Of course, they're all like, what is this thing? What am I looking at? And then you say, yeah, this is my Lightship L1, hot off of the production line. It's pretty stunning to see how much larger it gets. Like you can already see this at this point. We're 3/4 of the way up. The thing just keeps rising. In total, it's about a 3-foot stroke from bottom to top. I think it ends up where you're at about a 10-foot roof height. So that's it. So now you've gone from road mode to camp mode, and it's time to start the fun. It's pretty cool.
Nice and right. If you're not doing hookups, you're ready to go, huh?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, as you can see, of course, we're not hooked up, and it's running off of its own power. This would be the case. You might have even, if it were a hot day, you may have preconditioned the inside of the camper so that it's already 68 degrees and the AC is blowing as you've raised it up into camp mode, and it's self-contained.
That is awesome. I mean, talk about just a couple minutes setup. I mean, that's great.
Yep. Even this, which is I think one of the most unique parts of the vehicle, it should still be button press. Like, not a lot of time. We were talking through the whole thing. It's got to be simple. Do you want to try it? Do you want to bring it back down?
Let's do it.
Now, you're coming off of this nice long 3-day weekend, and it's time to pack up. You've put your stuff away on the inside, and the last thing to do is to go from camp mode back into the road mode. And so you can show us how you do that.
Oh, packing up. So much work. I guess I gotta use my thumb to lower it.
Right.
Did I finish my beer off?
Yeah. I thought you're really getting your exercise over there.
I'm gonna have to do thumb exercises for this.
Obviously, you can see the progress visually, but it's kind of cool.
And so if somebody gets distracted doing this, will it safely, like if it keeps running, no big deal, or while you're raising it, if it runs for an extra couple seconds?
It'll just pause. Like if, I see what you're saying. Like if it hits something, for instance, on the far side.
Well, or if it goes to the 0, will it stop even with your button press?
See.
Okay.
You'll see when it gets to 0, even with your thumb pressed on it, the canopy will stop moving.
Okay.
It basically has limits built in.
Okay.
Yeah, and we'll do things like, for instance, maybe there was something on the far side you didn't see, and if it knocked it as it went, the motor can sense when it hits something, and so if it has a hard contact, it will just stop, even with your thumb still pressed.
Okay.
Things like that. So
that's good from a safety aspect.
You'd probably call it collision detection. Collision detection is built in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like that's going to get a lot of looks going down the road.
Oh, it has. It has.
And the sink is okay, huh? The faucet?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it right there.
Yeah, so this is stowed.
Okay. Yeah, speechless right now after getting to see that.
I think you might be the first to take out for this. You're definitely the first outside of Lightship to do that.
I'm just gonna sit here and keep raise lower, raise lower, raise lower.
Your speechless, it really is kind of wild.
And you can see like the kids will be like, I want to do it, I want to do it.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Better stash this pad somewhere.
Yeah.
So they'll be back at the campsite playing with it.
One thing we will do with it is, of course, there's some safety elements here, so we'll child lock it. So there might be like a passcode, for instance. So you have to unlock it and put in something to make sure that only the right people can do it.
A camper unlike any other.
Transformer.
Yeah, right.
Right. I think I was like brainstorming titles for YouTube already, and I think I put Transformer RV.
People are 100% gonna see this for the first time and just be like, what spaceship has landed in our campground?
Right.
So we have Barry here with Lightship RV. What do you do here at Lightship, Barry?
I'm the head of vehicle engineering, so I look after all of the vehicle parts. So that's not the power system and the batteries and the drive system, but it's everything else pretty much. So the chassis, the body, windows, doors, wheels, tires, suspension, the vehicle parts.
Okay, and where did you come from before you came to Lightship?
My background's mostly automotive. So started at Jaguar in 1990, and then went from Jaguar to Lotus, Lotus to Tesla. That brought me to the States, and then did a stint at GoPro, actually, just doing program management at GoPro, but then Zoox for the last 4 years. So it's been almost all automotive.
Okay, did you say GoPro?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
So can you tell me why my GoPro battery is always dying?
Because GoPro batteries are very small, unlike our batteries.
It's small and overheating all the time. Great. So, well, what are you proud of the Lightship that's different from what other companies are doing out there in the RV market?
I think we've approached making an RV in a different way. So we've started from the point of view of making it very efficient. So all those things that we've done to make it efficient, making the aerodynamics 3 times better than a regular RV, making the rolling resistance better, and then some of the other design elements that have resulted from that. The interior is more spacious, more modern. I think those are the things that really kind of separate us.
And you're building it to like automotive standards.
Certainly, with
right?
an automotive approach, yeah. And quite a lot of the team have an automotive background. So the way that we approach the design of the vehicle, how we package it, how we finish it, many of those things are kind of follow an automotive approach.
Because traditional RVs are not built that way.
Right. I think there's definitely kind of traditional RVs tend to be a collection of separate systems that are kind of attached to a box, and I think we've gone for a much more integrated approach in that the package and the way that everything works together, the way that you control the vehicle, the way that those systems talk to each other and are accessible to the customer is pretty new for an RV.
I bet. Well, it's beautiful, and thank you so much for talking with us today, Barry. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Welcome to Broomfield, Colorado, where we're going to try to give you a tour and not be interrupted by the noise of people wrenching on stuff. This is our first factory. We've been in here for maybe about 6 months, and we're just setting up our assembly line. When it's complete, it'll actually look kind of like a W. And the way you can think about what's happening here is if you think about our vehicle, there's sort of 2 big pieces of it. The top of the vehicle we call the canopy, the bottom of the vehicle we call the tub. And what's going to happen is, and we'll see the really actually station 1 and station 2, we're building up the tub on this side of the factory, and then on this side of the factory we'll be building up the canopy. They'll come together, and then right here under, you'll see a big Lightship logo. We'll have an overhead crane system that drops the canopy on top of the tub. We call it the marriage station. And then we basically put all of the interior in and do final assembly and test, drive it out the roll-up door, and on to a happy customer.
Gotta represent our state and national pride here.
Yeah.
But the home bases for the company are Colorado and California, and then proud to be built here. So we found the biggest American flag we could, and then maybe it a little bigger.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely something that I think influences a lot of our decisions. Is we really are proud to be an American manufacturer, and so that means both, we're doing final assembly here. It also affects like where we get all of our components from. I think that's a really important part of Lightship. and something that's really in our DNA. We'll show you a couple of the first stations, and then we'll peek at a couple of our prototypes, which we haven't really shown much off before.
These are now really the pre-production vehicles, right? So we're doing the final validation that we talked about to make sure that they're safe and durable and all those things that they need to be, and then we'll flip the switch to customer deliveries, first deliveries.
And how many do you expect to build in like your first year?
We have a few years of production to go out and build in terms of customer reservations. We're actually really not focused on building really fast right away. What we're focused on is getting our process really dialed in and building at a really high degree of quality. So actually, when we start production, our production ramp is going to be pretty slow, and that really is intentional. So we're talking tens of units to start. In this facility, when we're at our full production rate, we'll get to about 30 a month.
Okay.
And then we'll probably have to expand this facility as well.
Okay, great. So you say you have 2 years worth of pre-orders already?
A few years.
Okay.
Yeah.
What we learned from last year, we launched. We went, we sort of went public with this after working in the background for a couple of years, and we wanted to. We were excited about what the concept that we had at that point, but we wanted to know that people who are going to use it are really psyched about it too, and definitely learned that we have a supply problem, not a demand problem, and we're now solving the supply side of this to make sure we can build as many as people want.
I can guess there's a lot of interest.
Yeah.
Can you share how many pre-orders you have?
Haven't disclosed that yet.
Okay.
I guess what I can say is we're going to be busy. We're going to be busy for a while here. The important thing, though, that I would also note is, because we get this question a lot, like where am I in line? How fast can I get my L1? And the really truthful answer is it depends, and it depends on we're a few months away from opening up the sort of ability to order and configure your Lightship. It'll ultimately depend on what you want. So we're again to maintain really high quality standard. We're not going to build all of our configurations at once. We're not going to have all of the sort of like options that you put on a Lightship available at once. And so there actually will be opportunities to get a Lightship very quickly, depending on the configuration that you'd like.
We'll offer different trim levels over time, of course, because people have different needs.
So what you're looking at here is what we call our beta pedigree units. So these are compared to the Alpha that we just walked through. Alpha was a production intent show vehicle. So we're showing the concept. It looks like, feels like that is what a Lightship will be. But it wasn't a complete production design. As you saw, like going through, like it's not like all the storage systems, the water system are like perfectly dialed. Now what we're doing today in this facility is building our beta units, and beta is now production pedigree. So these are the actual parts that are going to go into customer vehicles. They are production intent suppliers, and then obviously we're building it in our own facility. This is our production intent manufacturing process. We have now built up 3 of the sort of underbodies for the beta pedigree. So we call them Beta 101, Beta 102, and Beta 103. And we'll start out by looking at Beta 101. You'll get a sort of good look at sort of like the nuts and bolts, the guts of the production architecture.
When we say underbody, we mean the chassis plus the power system. So that's things like the frame, the axles, the batteries, the motor, the HVAC system. All of that are built into the underbody.
And who builds your frames?
Yeah, we'll probably try to not disclose all of our suppliers, although you're going to probably get to see some of the logos. But we work with a really high quality chassis supplier that is familiar to the industry. It's like we're going to really focus on some of the technology. We don't necessarily have to reinvent all of the components.
Right. I bring up because it's a huge interest for our viewers right now. There's been problems with some of the larger frame manufacturers in. You've probably heard of Frame Flex. Mm-hmm. It's kind of a big thing out there with certain RV manufacturers maybe having more issues than others. So that's why
if you're going another direction than the one that's had troubles, it's good to know for the audience.
You can
like
see,
to know.
I mean, you can't right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, BL they've been an amazing partner so far. This is also to the frame flex issue. Really important to know that this is a custom designed frame, so this is one that we've worked with BAL quite a bit. We have done, for instance, simulation on the frame, so this is something that you do with a car as well. It's finite element analysis. This is where you simulate how strong the chassis is before you ever even put it on road, and you sort of run it through its paces in the computer to make sure that it'll be stiff enough for all of the different things that happen on the road, like hitting a huge pothole or going on a weird incline, things like that. So that engineering-based approach to designing a frame like this, I think is pretty novel in this space and really important for making sure that it lasts a long time. We've iterated quite a bit on it as well. Even you can talk about too, going from Beta 101 to 102 to 103. We're learning as we take these units out on road and are taking what we learn and putting it back into the product. And as you said, there've been some quality issues, things like frame flex in the industry, and we are keen to avoid issues like that. We work with an awesome partner on this, BAL, very well versed supplier in RV frame design and manufacturing. One thing that's pretty key to know about this frame is it's a bolted together high strength steel frame.
Ben, you just said the magic words. For all of you viewers that have heard about frame flex in RV fifth wheels, we've made a number of videos. Guess what? On the Lightship frame, there are no welds. How do you do this, Ben?
It's an interesting joining technique. It's called huck bolting. We can look in close on it, but think of it like a cross between a traditional bolt and nut and a rivet, in the sense that you've got a bolt head on one side, a nut that screws in on the other side, but you keep driving the nut. You overdrive the nut and it flares out, so the metal of the nut deforms and it cinches in place like a rivet, so the joint will not come loose. And we do that all across the frame. That's how every component gets bonded together. And like I was saying,
wow,
that nut right there. Imagine there's a bolt coming through the backside that we can't see. This is what the head of that hook bolt looks like, that button head design, and then this nut here drives on like a typical X nut, but then it actually deforms, it flares out at the end, and so it's like a rivet. It's like a hybrid between a bolt and a rivet, and it locks in place, it cinches.
Wow.
This as a strong alternate to a weld, where you have to think a lot about quality assurance on the joints all the time. This is if the joint is designed properly, it is a very robust fastening method, and you don't have to think about like we were saying, like weld contamination or weld quality, because it's visually inspectable.
That is huge, and maybe this will be some encouragement for the rest of the industry to look at something like this, because the bad welds has been a big issue out there with frames. They're all done by hand. So you've got hundreds of employees, and some are probably better welders than others, and you just get frames that are, and you can't always see a weak weld. Like it might, like contaminants, you may not see the problem, but that looks like a much better solution, like a long-term. And any failure rate on that you're aware of? Like, is it 0? Is it 1%, 0.5%, or?
I don't know. I'll check.
So far, our test is 0.
Yeah.
Zero
exactly. Yeah.
failure rate. Okay.
Credit to BAL as well, our partner in building the frame. We've worked with them on this process, and it's one that they have significant experience with.
Okay.
So yeah, we're really compelled by it.
That's huge. So awesome. Thank you again. That's a great.
No more bendy frames.
Yeah, we don't like bent frames. Yes. I mean, that's RV killer.
It is custom designed, us with BAL working in concert to this product in particular, and we've taken a pretty rigorous engineering approach to designing this frame as well. So we've done a lot of simulation, for instance, up front. They call it finite element analysis, to, in simulation in the computer, run the vehicle and the frame in particular through the different hard uses that an RV will see on the road. So think about really heavy potholes, parking on a weird incline, things like that. We've already simulated up front with good accuracy that we've now sort of shown ourselves to be accurate in real world use. I think that approach just gives us a lot of confidence that it's a high quality frame from a great manufacturer that has been designed to last in this vehicle. Pretty focused on weight down as well. You don't want to add too much material. You want to add as much material as you need, and so you'll even see as we go through the different beta pre-production units that there are slight changes between the frame. As we learn something from the first one, we carry those learnings to the next one and to the next one to make sure that at prime time this is a refined design.
And do you have any kind of auto leveling at all, or is it all manual?
Yep. Yeah. Here's an exclusive for you. We haven't released it yet, but we'll offer both manual stabilization and leveling and an auto option.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
We work with BAL on it as well, which we're pretty excited about. It's not like everything is going to be one touch, but as much of the overheads as you can remove, especially the pain points in going RVing, we feel we should do that. So if you roll into an off incline campsite at 9:30 p.m. because you didn't make as good time as you thought you would on the road that day, it's already dark. You should be able to set up quickly, and I think something like an auto leveling feature is a pretty key way to do that.
Oh yeah, when it works, it's great.
Yeah, exactly. You got to make sure it works.
Yeah. So what we're looking at here is Beta 101. So this is our first production and prototype, the 101 logo, and here you can start to see some of the production architecture. So up front, again, this is sort of the guts underneath the tongue box that we looked at earlier in Alpha. Now we've transitioned to a full automotive style heat pump system. So this is simultaneously doing all of the cabin heating and cooling, as well as the powertrain. So the motor, the battery packs all have a high performance system. They're liquid cooled, and that is also controlled by the heat pump system. And some really kind of exciting things that we have here, starting at the front. So something that's never been done before is we have in-house developed custom sensor system. So if you think about the Lightship, we've taken an approach of we want to have only standard connections between the trailer and the tow vehicle, the truck. So that means standard ball hitch, standard 7-pin connector, but we have this very novel system of having an electric motor in the back, and so we want to be able to control that system, in a way that is very high performance, very safe, and is getting you the efficiency you want to either improve your fuel economy or improve your range. And the brains of that system lives in the hitch. So again, it's a standard ball hitch, standard 7-pin connector, but then we embed a what is really like a force sensor in the hitch, and that is how we are measuring the force, but really at the hitch between the truck and the trailer. So if you can think about kind of what's happening there is the force sensor is at any point in time trying to get that force to be as close to zero as it can, although it will always be non-zero. So you always want to have a little bit of force at the hitch for towing stability and safety, but we want to reduce that as close to zero as we can, so you're not affecting your fuel economy or your range. And that is then driving a custom controller, or basically a computer that is controlling the drive unit at the rear axle.
People ask us about this all the time. Like, how does the motor know what to do? How does the motor stay synchronized with the truck? The main way to do that is by knowing whether the trailer is pulling on the truck or pushing the truck. And if it's pulling on the truck, then we can sense that at the force sensor. We can decide in the controller what to do, and then the controller will tell the motor, help a little more. And then in the opposite case, where you're slowing down or maybe you're coming downhill, okay, now the trailer wants to push the truck, so you can tell the motor to do the opposite, now pull backwards and use what they call a regen mode. That regen has a pretty important side benefit of putting the energy that the trailer had in its motion back into the battery pack, so now you've got more energy when you get to the campsite, or just more range.
Oh, that is great. Thanks for explaining how that works. No, that was awesome.
It's pretty cool.
That's very exciting.
I think there are a lot of ancillary benefits, some of which we probably haven't even thought of yet in having a drive system on board. Like talking about, for instance, the case where you're driving and you're on a long mountain pass descending. You know this full well. Like the tail kind of wants to wag the dog there. The trailer is really pushing and trying to throw the truck around. If you can use the motor as a generator in that case, now you can pull the trailer back, and so it'll track stably behind the truck as opposed to trying to push it through the corners.
Better take it up on Teton Pass here, huh?
Yeah, right. That's the only thing to do.
You can also see some of sort of like our test program here. So Beta 101 is a test asset, and the reason it looks like it does is because it is fully ballasted up to gross vehicle weight. So we have a big steel plate we've laid over the chassis, and then we also have a bunch of water tanks. So this is not like the water tanks that are actually going to be in the camper. This is ballast.
When I first saw that, I'm like, wow, you're putting some height into this.
Yeah.
It's a seat as well.
This is our 500-gallon water system, but there's no RV. But yeah, what we're doing is all of the like tow stability, durability testing. Like this is a test. That's why it's all dirty.
Okay.
It just came out of the rain yesterday. And then you can also see some of the production power system hardware. So now we have our Gen 2 battery system. If you remember when we were crawling on our hands and knees, now you can see the second version of that architecture. This here is a bi-directional onboard charger. So this is how you're able to use the Lightship to charge your car, provide backup power to your house using that component hardware, and then a couple of junction boxes that are kind of like the connective tissue.
Think of that like it's an inverter and a charger in one. So
okay,
when you plug into the grid, it'll charge up your EV battery, but it can work in reverse as well to power all the home appliances, or even to power stuff that's off of the vehicle. So think about charging another electric vehicle or running your home, in the case of a power outage.
We have Lisa from Lightship RV here. So what do you do here at Lightship, Lisa?
Here at Lightship, I'm a test and integration engineer. My background has been like 20 plus years in automotive. Actually started with typical gasoline, diesel engines with OEMs, kind of worked my way into doing autonomous vehicles, but found myself here at Lightship because it was kind of a perfect fit for me as far as kind of my passion outside of work, and then in addition kind of bringing my skills here to join this kind of exciting journey that we're doing.
And what are you excited about on the new Lightship that's different from other RVs out there?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I've had many RVs and like teardrop trailers, bigger trailers, Airstreams, camper vans, like pretty much the gamut. So I've been kind of involved, I would say, the last few decades with just camping in general, and just even, basic. I mean, to me, as soon as I found out about Lightship, like instantaneously when I saw it on LinkedIn, I looked up and like learned everything about it, and I said on the spot, like, that's going to be the next place that I work. Just for the innovation and everything that it's doing, it's just going to elevate the whole industry as a whole, and kind of like bring up the marker as far as like just the quality and what we're doing here. Like this is like nothing. This is total innovation. This is like nothing that I've ever seen. So that's why I was so excited when I first found out about it. So we have a whole kind of battery system, self-propelling itself with the canopy and kind of folding down as far as to increase the aerodynamics of it. Just so many innovations kind of packed in together that really stands. It's going to elevate the industry as a whole, I believe.
I love that, being a part of a entrepreneurial company that has so many things they want to do different. It's got to be really exciting as a job compared to maybe some other kind of job where the industry is maybe not growing, not innovating as much.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, it was just, like I said, the moment I found out about it, I wanted to be involved. And here as like the test engineer, I get involved with a lot of different aspects of it, a lot of different systems, integrating them, understanding as far as like what we want to test and for the safety, and kind of taking some of that automotive experience that I have and elevating it into and kind of folding that into the RV industry.
I like what they did with this unit. You strap these heavy water containers to it to help give it weight for all the testing.
Yeah, so basically we just have the frame here, have all the components that we're working with, but we put these steel plates on and these water drums just to ballast it to different weight ratios, just to really prove out the strength and safety factor before we're out on the road with the full RV. So just really just wanted to prove these things out, and kind of we go through the integrated process as far as like safety and quality, and to ensure that we're putting the best and safest RV out there that we can.
And this is not done by other companies in a lot of cases.
Yeah, no, I don't believe so. And then additionally, from this testing, and then as we kind of move forward, we'll be doing a lot of extensive durability testing, taking it to test tracks, getting a lot of mileage accumulations far beyond what the typical RV trailers do today.
Well, thank you so much for sharing about the work you do here at Lightship, Lisa.
Yeah, you're welcome.
A lot of this is custom to what we do, and it's why we have a pretty large engineering team who you can see has done a lot of work to get it to this point. This is where a lot of the different electrical signals come together. It's a junction box. It handles low and high voltage AC and DC power all in a consolidated space. Some of the coolant pumps, for instance, we have several different liquid coolant loops on the vehicle for things like heating and cooling the battery packs or keeping the motor cool. Most of the energy on board the vehicle is in the high voltage battery, but there is a little bit of energy in a low voltage 12 volt battery as well. This would be for maybe just running strip lights, things like that. And pretty important, this is kind of behind the scenes how that system works. There is a piece of electronics that takes energy from the high voltage battery and uses it to keep the low voltage battery charged up. So you're never going to have a dead 12 volt battery, for instance, because it's always being tended by the high voltage battery.
That's good.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you're thinking of all these little things that could just creep up and cause problems.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's there's so much to talk about with it, but we're really focused on, first off, what you might call the use cases, like how we as owners and users want to use the vehicle, but there's a whole separate layer under the water of more like the engineering cases. What are all the different states that every component on the vehicle can be in, and how do we make sure that we've accounted for all of those different conditions and states, so that from our perspective, the user's perspective, it is something that runs stably and reliably. And that too is like that is hallmark automotive. This is why your car tends to work even in in a variety of conditions.
You can tell Ben's the engineer here. I think of it just from the perspective of all of this is happening behind the scenes and it just works. Mm-hmm. So you have an RV where you're going from managing a rolling brownout of all the different like power system components and having to like turn things on and off to it just works. So a lot of this complexity is thought out so that somebody who's using the product doesn't need to.
Right. Yeah, you think about a car that we buy today. That's a very complicated product, and yet so much work has gone into it to make sure that it's a really reliable thing to use too. As much of the challenge and the complication as we can put sort of into the background, the less that we as owners need to think about.
Well, we have Zach from Lightship RV here. What do you do here at Lightship, Zach?
I am a software, hardware integration engineer here, so I kind of bridge the gap between the people that are designing things, the people that are coding things, and I help kind of put them together and make them work on the vehicle.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. And where did you come from before you joined Lightship?
I came from an automotive background, an automotive supplier. I got to work on all types of prototype and demonstration vehicles. So doing like steer-by-wire or ride height and kind of working on some of these prototype vehicles for features that are starting to trickle down into vehicles on the road today. So I have a lot of experience kind of hand building wiring harnesses, doing a lot of debugging and testing and figuring out why things are or aren't working. Which is great when we're working on something like this.
And so what are some of the areas that you've looked at other RVs, seen what's been done in the past? What are some of the areas that are being done differently that you're really proud of here at Lightship?
Yeah, I think the whole canopy raise and lower system is really interesting. It's really incredible. And it's really intricate from kind of a controls aspect of all the things that have to go right, all the things that could possibly go wrong to not allow the canopy to close, things like that. That's really interesting and I think a really cool solution. And also I think the way that we're going to approach a lot of the way that you use the energy on the vehicle is really different from a lot of stuff going on in the market, where like a lot of our plans for how you're actually going to be able to utilize the power on the vehicle. Maybe even going in the way of like making it a little more informative to where your power is coming from, or how much power you're using on hot water, things like that. Is stuff that's really exciting for me.
Yeah, I'm really impressed with your heating and cooling system here. That is a lot different than we've seen in other RVs.
Yeah, so I guess the heating, the cooling, there's a lot of power going through it. Batteries obviously are they have to be kept kind of at specific temperatures in a specific, I guess, range. So having that heating and cooling system will allow a lot of the batteries to operate in their optimal ranges for a long time to come. Allow you to charge at your full rates. Allow the electric motor in the rear to actually propel the vehicle and stay efficient while it's doing so. So it was kind of a system that on this vehicle at least, which was all about building up kind of the underbody electronics. Something that we wanted to get right and something that we wanted to understand, so that as we build the rest of them, we don't have to question that core functionality.
Awesome. Well, Zach, thank you so much for your time. Appreciate it. We have more videos coming out with Lightship RV, including an in-depth tour with the founders of the company. We also have how-to videos, adventures, and more. Thank you so much for subscribing. We appreciate it.
And we have this pretty fun program that we do within Lightship called the Light Trip program, where the idea is that every employee of the company gets a stipend to go RVing, on their own time.
Oh, okay.
And so, everybody gets a couple $1,000. You go out, they've rented. This point, we probably rented hundreds of different RVs and trailers through rental sites. And what's so cool about that is that it is every member of the team building this product and company learning about the state of the art, like what are the products that are out there, what are the things I like and I don't like, and then they are empowered to make that change in what we're now building.
Did you hear that? I have never heard that at any RV manufacturer before, that all of your employees get a stipend to go camping.
Yeah.
Just so you can experience it.
Yeah.
There's been another big thing that's been brought up with me, that many upper management as well as lower level, line level employees, they don't own RVs. They don't have any idea what they're building in terms of using it and what the pain points are.
Yeah, this program has been kind of our hack because we certainly have team members who have varying levels of experience. It's not like we screen for only people who have a ton of, time in RVs of different types, because, something we're trying to do here is build a product that invites more people into it. It's easier to use, and part of that means like some people haven't done a lot of RVing, and if you look at our team, it's like the full spectrum. Now, what do? Is you then take people who are across that spectrum in terms of experience levels, and you put them all in RVs. And then so now you have the people. We have like our head of program management. He owns a fifth wheel, and he spends a ton of times in RVs. But he'll use his stipend to do something that he hasn't done before. And then you have other people who have never really spent a lot of time in a camper, and it's awesome.
We've had a bunch of employees who have taken a light trip, and it's the first time they've ever been RVing.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. We're literally we are the gateway.
Yeah,
that's great. And then you can put all of them together. Brand new campers, RVers for the first time, and then the seasoned ones. And then you've got this wealth of knowledge and ideas to pull, experiences to pull from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think innovation is kind of this like hazy term, but these sorts of activities are what makes it happen. This is how new ideas come to be.
Well, and I think it's coming from beginner's mind too is so important.
Yeah.
When you're trying to rebuild something like, well, why do we have to have a black tank? Well, can it be done differently? Well, sure, there are other solutions with other benefits, pros and cons, and it takes somebody new to say, well, I really don't want to deal with this sewer hose. What can be, better? And you have a solution. You're still dealing with it. It's just better.
Yeah.
You take a stinky situation, literally, and, shave a few minutes off of it. A little less hassle.
Hopefully less grime.
Right. So it's an all-electric RV. You guys are not the only ones in the country building RVs like this. I feel like it's the great EV RV race or something right now. Like
we should actually do a race.
Seriously, I mean, it's such a new frontier to an old industry. So you're using automotive standards to make it a better built RV from the get-go, right? And you're based in Colorado. I know a lot of stuff is built in Indiana, and I hear that's because of the lemon laws. They don't exist apparently there.
Really?
And so, I think 85% of all RVs are made in Indiana, I believe.
Yep.
And another thing I want to mention, this has been a solution that's been talked about, or a problem that's been talked about in the industry, is the RVs in Indiana are built at a piece rate. The workers show up really early because they might have to go work out in the field later on in the day, but they show up, super early in the morning, and they've got a set quota. And if that might have normally been an 8-hour day, but if they can get it done in 6 hours, they can get out to another job or knock off early or whatever. So the incentive is to build super quickly, and I think that's where a lot of the quality issues are coming from. And so my question, and the viewers have asked this and suggested it for a long time, is, can we get away from that so to where the workers are not incentivized to be fast, but to build better quality? So have you addressed that?
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's a really interesting topic for us. So we're in Colorado for a number of different reasons. But I think, first and foremost, we're here because there's a really good talent pool, both of engineers, technical talent, and there's also a really good pool of, production workforce. So production associates, production technicians. Colorado has a lot of industry. I'd say its roots are more like in aerospace. as opposed to like automotive manufacturing or RV manufacturing. But we, I'm sure, think about our workforce a little bit differently, and we do not do a piece rate approach. We have a standard, I would say, like a really good sort of like hourly rate that we pay our team members. But actually, importantly, every single person on the Lightship team of all levels gets equity in the company.
Okay.
So the idea there is we're actually their incentive is for Lightship to be successful, and Lightship will be successful if we build really high quality products. There is no embedded incentive for them to work fast. Right now, we're actually, I mentioned before, our company goal is not to boost our production rate. At some point in years down the road, that might be something we need to navigate thoughtfully. But right now, our company goal is build really high quality products that are meeting a really high bar for customer experience, and we approach our team members to incentivize that behavior.
Well, I love that you said that, and I love that your employees are also a part of their benefits are attached to the success of the company. Yep. I really think that's a great model, yeah, I mean, I think that's going to be huge. And my understanding is you have to get away from the traditional RV manufacturing to even find a workforce that's not used to that.
Yes.
Like you can't go to Indiana, try to start a company right there, and then expect to hire workers that new way because they won't like it. Yeah. That's what I've heard from other manufacturers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's great. Getting away from that model.
Yeah, I'd say as the new guys on the block, we try to approach the industry and our customers with a degree of humility. Like, we don't know everything. At the same time, I think in some cases being naive can be a superpower, which is we just sort of approach this problem with what do we think is the right way to do it, and what is the right way to compensate and treat people. And I think that is a good area to sort of start from more of a first principles approach as opposed to leverage what already is happening in the industry. Now, there's a lot of other things that we certainly can learn from the industry, but I think that one we're proud to do ourselves.
Right. What is working and what isn't working?
Yeah.
I mean, traditional RV, the stove doesn't work. I should say the oven doesn't work.
Yeah.
And they just keep making them, and they just don't work right. Now, some of the more upgraded ones are getting better. They're putting residential appliances in there, but in our RV, we never use the oven. It just doesn't work. It just burns things. And it's it just sits there. It's taking up space, and we might as well rip it out and have it be more storage.
Yeah.
We have just such a strong negative incentive towards bad customer experiences up front too, because we don't have a brand yet. We are building this from scratch. So those first experiences that people have with all of this, including what we deliver to them,
that's our company.
That is us. That is our fate.
Yeah, exactly. So I love how you're going through this. You're not being fast. You're taking your time. You're testing everything. You're asking for feedback. And instead of some models in some upstart businesses is how fast can we throw it out there in the market and see what sticks.
Yeah.
And then it can have lots of issues and we'll learn that way, but it's you're destroying your brand in the process.
Yeah. That's hard to do with complex hardware that you're going to take through an automotive development cycle.
Right.
It takes time, it takes money. You kind of have one shot to do it right. Mm-hmm. So the move fast and break things that's hard. That's hard.
Right.
Yeah. We have a great set of investors too, and they're kind of patient investors as well. So we look them in the eye up front, and they understand how hard this is going to be too, and they're still really excited to sort of go on the journey with us, and that's helped.
Right. Now, are they all silent investors, or how does that work? Are they making decisions?
No. So we have. I would say it's a group of investors who are sort of impact and a sort of variety of investors. So actually something recently is Thor is actually a very small investor of ours as well, and they've actually been a really helpful partner in learning, what are some of the things that are really working well in the RV supply chain. But yeah, I'd say by and large, yeah, they're silent investors. We have a really awesome leadership team. Ben and I are responsible for running the business. Our investors are there to support us.
Okay, and that was important to know. I did notice that Thor was an investor. That's a traditional RV manufacturer. So again, how much management do they have? And you say they don't. So I mean, I think that's important for people to know. I think if you learn from what hasn't worked, I think, and some of them are making stuff that works.
Yeah.
I mean, there is some improvements, and so yeah, that's.
I think their leadership recognizes the opportunity too. Like electrification is coming. There's clearly opportunity to build these products in a different way, and there's a mutual inspiration there.
Thor, they know their customers really well. They've spent a lot of time thinking about the industry, and I think they recognize this is a need. Electrification is coming. This is something that a group of their customers really want, and they were willing to sort of put their bet on us as the horse in this segment, and we're really excited about that. And at the same time, I think they're a small investor, and we're sort of operate as we want, but we're excited to have them as a partner.
Yep. And you expect your first unit to roll off when?
We are starting customer units end of the year, and so that will mean sort of first deliveries early next year.
So like I said, naming, this is Beta 101. This is the first underbody we built. This is Beta 102. The second. This one we've now installed the floor. You can see it's a composite sandwich panel floor. It's lightweight, stiff. It's actually remarkable how much stiffer the vehicle gets, even when you just put that top layer down, like finishing one of the sides of the box. There's some of the actuator assemblies. So there'll be four of these columns. This is what lifts and lowers the canopy.
So that does the heavy lifting, huh?
This does 1/4 of the heavy lifting.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly. It's you won't see it when the vehicle is fully assembled, but it's a pretty key element of the product. And as we get to talking about the testing side of this, we've done a ton of work and continue to test on just the single component level, the subsystem. Now let's make sure all four will stay in sync together. Now let's put the weight on it. We've done many levels of testing and continue to make sure that this is a really reliable system and won't ever cause a problem.
Right. I would imagine that's got to be a heavy detail area. If that's not working, then there's no camping.
It's so essential to the experience of the product. It is the enabler of this really awesome long distance road trip, and it's got to work.
Is that completely custom?
Mm-hmm. Yep. In-house design. So.
And what is your flooring material made out of?
It's a foamed, but it's a stiff foam.
Okay.
So these are fiberglass skins. So you call it a sandwich panel. It's nice because you don't have to, as opposed to something like a wood floor, you don't have to worry about water uptake and things like that. And it's also considerably lighter and stiffer than just having a plywood floor.
Higher quality, lower mass.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Great.
This step down that you see is for going from the main cabin to the bathroom, because you can imagine there's a shower pan in there, and so that in the final product, you won't notice the step, but in the way that we build it, there's that jog down. This is I'll give you 2 guesses. What do you think that is?
I'm guessing that is the black tank.
That's exactly right. This is the porcelain throne.
Why did you need 2 guesses? What else was it?
I don't know. I wanted.
I guess you could say shower drain, I suppose. But
big shower drain.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the toilet sits here. There's a storage vanity and then the bathroom sink right here, and this is the shower drain down to the gray tank on the other side.
Okay.
Right. The two tanks, we can see them in another one of the vehicles, but the tanks sit side by side. One area that we know is tough and occasionally kind of gross with RVs is dump and fill and dump in particular.
Yes.
I think all of us have had a few stories of like a dumping sequence gone wrong.
I dropped the cap down into the dump station.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, you dropped your cap into the sewer. I once had sometimes you have the extension on the hose. You have an extension piece for when the drain is pretty far from the camper, and I connected these two pieces together, but the seal wasn't there between the two of them, and I'll stop the story there because you know where it goes. I think getting to this idea of simplification as well. Typically, as you know, the hose is stowed separately, like maybe in the bumper of the RV, and you have to connect it up every time. Our system comes with the hose always attached or pre-attached, and that dump hose sits inside of a basket basically in the undercarriage, and so you don't have to connect it up. You just pull it out with a handle.
Oh, great.
Put it down. It's an automatic system as well, so you have two valves that you hit a button, and one valve goes for the gray, the other one goes for actually I guess the opposite order, black and then gray to flush.
Okay.
So we think there's a lot of room for improvement on RV sewer systems or waste management systems, and we're going at it.
Definitely. That is a huge area for improvement.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
Man.
I agree. So now this is actually on the vehicle where the charging plug location is going to be, and so you'd come in, with an EV charger, any EV charge plug it in from there, and then it'll go to the wall. This one is an adapted charger, so there are two charging standards in EVs. This is one, this is the other. This was the Tesla one that's taking over now. So you can either adapt off of one of the old standard, or they're now making banking plugs that have the Tesla standard, the North American charging standard, built into it, and that's the one that we are natively using.
Gosh, looks like old printer cables.
Old printer cables, guys.
Parallel port, yeah.
It's like what do I know? It's like, what does that control?
So
that's logging because it's an engineering vehicle. That's all CAN data of the vehicle being logged and transmitted. So the antennas are actually transmitting the data to off-board servers. So if there's any issues, we can access the data of these engineering vehicles and figure out what the problem is.
Okay, got it. So obviously that's not going to be on a regular unit.
No, this is instrumentation to help us better find and debug issues.
Okay.
Have you guys talked yet? Craig runs our test engineering
team.
He's
what's going on?
Hi there.
Good to meet you.
I'm Tom, by the way.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, so that might be some of the instrumentation that you'd put on a test vehicle as part of gathering all of the data that we can. When we take it out on the road, we want to learn as much as we can about it.
Well, that's great. I mean, people are going to really appreciate the fact of all the work you're putting into testing in advance, because I really don't think a lot of this happens the typical RV manufacturer.
Yeah, the fun part is that Tess gets to be the harshest customer. That has we get to be the harsh customer for our engineers and find all the issues, report all the bugs so that our customers don't have to, which is not a bad job, that's for sure.
With the waste management systems, you see how the hose hides up in that basket, stays connected. Two automatic valves there, and so you pull the hose out, clear fitting at the end, so you can see where you're at. And as good of an experience as that part of RVing can be.
That's it.
Yeah.
Anything you can do in that area, for sure.
Yeah. So many things to talk about in there. Like, for instance, you've probably seen on a lot of trailers, the axle hangs down below the frame. In our case, we didn't want to do that because that really hurts the efficiency of the vehicle when you have stuff hanging down below it. You want to have that clean, uninterrupted belly
Right.
underside, and so we've designed the axles to sit within the frame rail so you get that smooth bottom.
Okay, sure. Look at that. Yeah.
Ton of thought has gone into this. Both are damped, so you have nice rebound characteristics. You hit a big pothole, you shouldn't have the whole trailer rocking around a lot. It settles quickly.
Yeah, suspension is another just huge area of troubles, and the roads are so bad out there, and yeah, if your RV doesn't have good suspension, it's destroying it, literally going down the road.
Yep. Yeah. It puts more more shuttering onto the interior, which causes problems, and it can unsettle the truck as well. So having a nice suspension setup is pretty important. This is the drive system that we talked about. So this actually gives you a cutaway of the production drive system. This is what does the range assist, allows the trailer to track stably. All of those really good features that we've talked about are built into this drive system. Totally novel in a travel trailer like this to have a motor. So you can see it's a double axle trailer. Only the rear axle is powered. The front axle is just there for redundancy and to take up all the weight of the trailer and make sure that if you have a blowout on the highway, that you still have an axle to spare, so you can stop safely. That drive unit connects up to 2 drive shafts, half shafts they're called, and see drives the rear wheels off of the half shafts. This is again automotive style, high volume produced automotive drive unit. It's designed to last for tens and thousands of miles, and it's been through a lot of reverse tests too. So
the same one you'd see on a typical EV then, huh?
Yeah,
okay.
Exactly. Yep. And then you can see without having a drive unit on the front, this is what makes space for the freshwater tank here. So freshwater fill is over on the front corner over there. Fill tips comes back, and that's your 50-gallon fresh tank, and then again it's like 25 to 35 for the black and the gray.
Right. Black and gray right here. Okay.
Yep. Another small detail but really key thing about the vehicle is we looked at this on the axles there. You'll see it again on the stabilizer feet. We don't want to have a bunch of interruptions on the belly of the vehicle, because you want that flat belly so you get great drag performance, great aerodynamic performance. So the axles are built up into the frame rails there. You'll see the same thing with the stabilizer jacks, where they're kind of hidden up within the package of the frame rail, so they'll come down, but you won't see the stabilizer feet when the vehicle, you're just looking at the vehicle side on. This is really nice too, because I think a lot of us have seen, if you have a stabilizer jack that's hanging way down, what's going to happen? You're going to hit a rock or something like that, and it's going to bend the jack. Now, when you've got that smooth bottom, it doesn't become a weak point anymore.
I know a couple that ripped off the stabilizer leg on a big pothole, so
I got to be honest, I've done it too.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we have Luke here from Lightship RV. And Luke, what do you do here?
I am the production operations manager. So what that means is I'm in charge of setting up the factory, making sure that we have all the equipment that we need, making sure that we have work instructions, the people that are going to be building it are properly trained, and staffing everyone that we need to build the product.
Awesome. And what did you do before you came to Lightship?
Before I came to Lightship, I worked mostly in the automotive industry. I did several years at GM working under the Cadillac brand. Then I came out to Colorado and worked on electric drivetrains for 8 years. And throughout the last couple of years, I've bounced around and helped build up a couple different factories making various products.
And so tell us about the this is a pretty brand new factory,
yep,
right?
Absolutely.
Tell us about it.
Okay, so, kind of looking around right now, what you're seeing is mostly the prototype stuff. Being such a new and unique product, we didn't really want to dive too deep into heavy equipment until we had a little bit better understanding of what it was going to look like, how it went together. So we tried to be as kind of generic as possible with the equipment, while also making sure that we could put everything together in a safe, quality manner. Most of this stuff will be retired into service as the more permanent equipment for production starts to come in. That equipment, a lot of it has already been spec'd, some of it's already been ordered, and a lot of it will start to show up here probably by about the end of this year, really setting us up to take off at the beginning of 2025.
Well, that's really exciting, and I understand you're hoping to get up to about 30 units a month.
30 a month, yeah. Which really kind of boils down to not quite, just under 2 a day actually, when you take out weekends and you try to factor in a standard 8-hour shift with a little bit of inefficiency built in as we kind of learn how to build the vehicle. So yeah, probably start out shooting for about 1 a shift on 2 shifts a day. And then maybe a partial shift as we do some material management on the factory and kind of set up for the next day. It's a pretty small building and a pretty big product, so we're going to have to be really clever with how we handle material handling and movement through the building. As you can see, we don't really have a big warehouse to store the big parts, so things are really going to have to be just in time, whether we want to do that or not.
Okay, and you do have expansion plans as well, right?
Yeah, the plan is as we ramp up and kind of grow out of this building, we'll move into a larger facility that's better suited for volume manufacturing.
So you wouldn't actually add on to this, so you likely have to move?
Yeah, we would likely have to move. This is a pretty small manufacturing facility. I would imagine that our next step is going to be something several orders of magnitude larger than this building. So I would expect that unless there was like a full building available in this workspace, we're probably going to have to go to something much, much larger.
Okay, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing, Luke.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
You can see the big battery system there.
And this would be the long range version?
Yep. Yeah, this is the 80 kilowatt hour battery system.
And it's battery pack split into 3, is that right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, then a way to join them all together there. Now, of course, if you ever needed to have something like that serviced, you can drop the battery pack out from the bottom to unmount it and then lift it down. Although we're real happy with the longevity of these batteries. Their design allows for thousands of cycles.
Yeah, I know you were just talking about like what the warranty might look like, but you're hoping it's going to be pretty beefy, right?
Yeah, that's I think when the more quality is built into the components, and for something like an automotive component, we know that's been through a lot of rigorous tests. The more testing we do ourselves, the more confidence we gain in the product, and we can pass that confidence on to customers in the form of connectors. You've probably seen varying degrees of quality in electrical connectors. This thing is like bomb-proof. It's, I mean, really well sealed, really tightly designed. All of this is done with an aim to making sure that you're never going to have water get in and corrode the contacts and then create an issue with you, 3 years into owning it. Well, it's a quality forward approach in the design.
Yeah, I mean, just rust. I mean, we have stuff that's rusting all the time, and it's like, need to get away from things that rust.
Yeah, you gotta have good kind of like resistant coatings on especially all your exposed, all the metal components that are exposed to the environment. For instance, having a coated frame goes a long way.
I mean, this is really designed to go off grid. I mean, so little beefier suspension, so you can take it down a dirt road, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's got decent ground clearance too. It's we just looked at this. I think it's about a 10-degree departure angle. Yeah, just over a 10-degree departure angle. So think about steep inclines, or maybe you hit an undulation in a dirt road. It won't have a problem taking that on. It's not that you're not gonna go like rock crawling with this, but I don't think most people would do that with a 26-foot family-sized travel trailer. As a base camp for those sort of adventures, though, it's amazing because you get to the trailhead, drop this off, and maybe your tow rig is more capable of overlanding, go out for a couple days. If it's an EV tow rig, maybe you're going with a Rivian, okay, you might deplete the battery a bit as you go out, and then you come back to your L1. It's been charging for the last few days, and now I can take that power from the solar and put it back into the truck so I can keep going.
Right. No, lots of possibilities that way when you start thinking that way.
Yeah. So we talked about putting the loud parts of the climate conditioning and the whole powertrain heating and cooling loop on the outside. This is what that looks like. So the loud bits being the compressor and the fan. When you put that fan and the compressor out here, now it's great because they're right in the airflow, so you can push all that cooling air through the radiators, and they are outside of the living space, so you're not hearing them very much. This is also, this system is able to ramp up and ramp down, so it's not just like on full bore all the time. It will only run as hard as it needs to maintain the right temperature on the inside, which a lot of times mean it'll be running a lot lower than what you might be used to in a traditional RV, where you turn it on and it's just and then it's going the whole time.
Right. No, that's great. I mean, anything we can do to quiet down the air conditioning, I mean, that's huge.
When we send you out with a beta unit, I think you're going to be pretty blown away. Little things like for instance, these are not things that are that a customer will have to worry about, but coolant reservoirs, for instance. This is where if you've got a little extra coolant bubbling up on a hot day, these are the reservoirs where that coolant will be. In general, the vehicle is designed as a sealed system, so you won't have to do fluid maintenance or fluid refills throughout the life of the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good.
That I think is just a great benefit and a hallmark of EVs in general, is that they're very low maintenance. There's you're not having to change oils and transmission fluids and things like that all the time. It is a sealed approach.
Yeah, the frame looks very beefy from a typical travel trailer.
Yep. Yeah, it's both beefy and optimized. So you can see, look at some of the structures here. These are what support those lifting columns that lift the canopy up and down. They're stiff in the direction that you need them to be, and then there's also a lot of material that's been taken out where you don't need it to support the weight.
Okay.
Right. The approach is to put everything in there that needs to be in there and nothing that doesn't.
Exactly.
We're also packaging, as much as we can in the floor of the vehicle, so you actually get some good height on the chassis frame, so that you can package everything, and that also gives you a beefier and stiffer frame.
Wow, Ben and Toby, I'm thrilled with what I'm seeing. I mean, I thank you so much for such a detailed tour of the L1, the prototype, and then your factory, brand new factory, and just everything that you're doing with your new company. I mean, you're solving a lot of pain points with RVing. How can, for example, just the black tank, how can that be easier to deal with dumping and shaving a few minutes off of the worst part of RVing, for example? And your innovations, the quality that's going into these units, I think, for viewers out there that have been on the sidelines of looking for a new RV, take a look at Lightship. I think this is definitely an option. Get rid of gasoline, get rid of propane, have one power source, and potentially a much more problem-free journey. So thank you for having me out here, Ben. Toby, thank you so much.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys create here in the first units come rolling off the line here. That's going to be an exciting day.
True that. It's fun to let your audience behind the scenes too. I think the best way we can back up saying what we're aiming for, these levels of quality, is to make it transparent. So let's talk about a bolt joint for half an hour.
Yes, and it may seem low tech, but with the problems that are out there in the industry right now, you're making changes that you didn't have these problems, but you can certainly learn from what's out there.
Yeah.
And like you learned like from all the pre-generations of batteries. You know, and now you've got a safer, best reliable battery that's out there.
Yep.
So yeah, I can't wait to watch these and actually see one in the wild, so to speak. So that's going to be very cool.
Can't wait as well. It's going to be fun.
Make it happen.
And there'll be a link down below. If you want to check out Lightship, you can pre-order one for $500. So that's pretty cool. And you can see our next video right here.